Students, very good morning to all of you. Today we will be going to start our new chapter of economics, macroeconomics only, that is chapter number 4, determination of income and employment. We have so far talked about the national income, price level, rate of interest, etc. in an ad hoc manner, without investigating the forces that govern their values. The basic objective of macroeconomics is to develop theoretical tools called models, capable of describing the processes which determine the value of these variables. Specifically, the models attempt to provide theoretical explanation to questions such as what causes period of slow growth or recessions in the economy, or increment in the price level, or a rise in unemployment. It is difficult to account for all the variables at the same time. Thus, when we concentrate on the determination of a particular variable, we must hold the values of all other variables constant. So, when it is this up to this line, it has been explained. In this chapter, what we will be going to learn? Here we will be going to learn the income and the employment. Income, the earning which a person do by giving his or her services to the organization or to the institute. That earning itself is called income. Employment, the organization provides the job to the people, itself is considered as employment. Till now it has been explained there are many types of factors of economy, that is national income, price level, rate of interest, etc. If we will be going to learn all this topic together, it won't work. Because one topic, if one problem solution we will be finding, then another problem will arise. So because of that, all the variables cannot be learned together. So because of that, when one variable is learned, other variables remain fixed. So that only we will be going to learn in this particular chapter. And that is our objective to learn, to determine the income and employment level at the economy level. Thus, when we concentrate on the determination of a particular variable, that's why it has been said, the other variables remain constant. This is a stylization typical of almost any theoretical exercise, and it is called the assumption of ceteris paribus, which literally means other things remaining equal. You can think of the procedure as follows in order to solve for the values of two variables x and y from two equations. We solve for one variable, say x, in terms of y from one equation first, and then substitute this value into other equation to obtain the complete solution. We apply the same method in the analysis of the macroeconomic system. In this chapter, we deal with the determination of national income under the assumption of fixed price of final goods and constant rate of interest in the economy. The theoretical model used in this chapter is based on the theory given by John Maynard Keynes. So, an important person whose theory we will be going to learn in this chapter is Keynes. Let us start our chapter with the first topic of this chapter, that is aggregate demand and its components. Demand, see here student, what do you mean by demand? When we want something but we are not having the money to purchase it, it is doesn't consider it is demand. It is just our expectation. But for fulfilling our expectation, parallelly we are having the money also. It means when we want something, we are ready to pay for also, that it is considered as demand. So actual meaning of demand is that only, the satisfactory level of a person where they can expect and they can fulfill by paying it. It is considered as demand. In the chapter on national income accounting, we have come across terms like consumption, investment, or the total output of final goods and services in an economy, GDP. These terms have dual connotation. In chapter 2, they were used in the accounting sense, denoting actual values of these items as measured by the activities within the economy in a certain year. We call this actual or accounting values, example post measures of these items. These terms, however, can be used with different connotations. Consumption may denote not what people have actually consumed in a given year, but what they had planned to consume during the same period. Similarly, investment can mean the amount a producer plans to add to her inventory. It may be different from what she ends up doing. Suppose a producer plans to add rupees 100 worth goods to her stock by the end of the year. Her planned investment is therefore rupees 100 in that year. However, due to an unforeseen upsurge of demand for her goods in the market, the volume of her sales exceeds what she had planned to sell, and to meet this extra demand, she has to sell goods worth rupees 30 from her stock. Therefore, at the end of the year, her inventory goes up by rupees 100 minus 30 equals to 70 only. Her planned investment is rupees 100, whereas her actual or exposed investment is rupees 70 only. We call the planned values of the variables consumption, investment or output of final goods their accented measures. So this was the topic aggregate demand. Let us see once again what has been explained in this aggregate demand. See here student, there are various types of demand of the consumer. According to their income, they will demand, definitely. But for our study, if we will be making a survey of the demand of the people, actually when we will calculating the demand, it will automatically change. It will either increase or either decrease. It will not be stable as we have learnt in the survey. So because of that, when the things are not fixed, we are making an aggregate, means approximate we are learning. We are not actually learning, we are making an assumption and we are learning by approximately calculating the data. So that only has been done there. Earlier the income of the person when we were learning, the demand was 100 worth goods to her stock by the end of the planned investment. 100 in that year. However, an unforeseen upsurge of demand for her goods in the market, the volume of her sales exceed. It means suddenly the demand of her goods has been increased in the market, and because of that sale also increased. So she had planned to sell, and to meet the extra demand, she has to sell goods worth rupees 30 from her stock. Definitely she was having 100 in the stock. To fulfill the demand, more of the demand of the consumer, she had to sell 30 goods in the market so that she can fulfill the other people's demand. Now in the stock, how much is there? 100 minus 30 if we will do, then it will remain 70. Her planned investment was 100, whereas suddenly because of the dynamic change happening, the exposed investment now remains 70 only. We call this planned values of the variables minus consumption. 100 was the planned value and the consumption which she had did was 30. Now whatever left is the investment. So that is the one formula we got, planned values of the variables minus, if we will do the consumption, we will get the investment or final output of final goods. This is considered as exempt measure. This measure is considered what? Exempt measure. In simple words, exempt depicts what has been planned. What is of meaning? Exempt depicts what has been planned, and exposed depicts what has actually happened. So may I think it is clear to you? Exempt means what has been planned. That was 100, and exposed depicts what has actually happened. That was the 70. In order to understand the determination of income, we need to know the planned values of different components of aggregate demand. Let us look at these components now. Consumption. The most important determinant of consumption demand is household income. A consumption function describes the relation between consumption and income. The simplest consumption function assumes that consumption changes at a constant rate as income changes. Yes, definitely. Consumption changes. As the income goes down, consumption levels comes down. As the income increases, the demand or the consumption of the goods increases of the people. But one factor is also there beside this student. That is, when the people income is zero, still consumption is there. Like for example, if you will be having a doubt, how could be possible? If the income is zero, how the consumption can be done by the people? We can calculate most of the part of our country is poor people. Category of the people is poor. Still, they are not having the income, but still the consumption is done by them to survive. So whatever consumption is done, it is considered as economy. That time also when the income is I equals to 0. Of course, even if income is 0, some consumption still take place. Since this level of consumption is independent of income, it is called autonomous consumption. So once again you have to remember, because in the further also we will be learning what do you mean by autonomous consumption. Autonomous consumption, as I said, when the income is 0, still some consumption still take place in our economy, in our country. That type of consumption, when it is done, it is known as autonomous consumption. We can describe this function as C equals to C plus Cy. Here C equals to consumption, and C here C is the consumption, and the next C is the autonomous consumption, AC, autonomous consumption, and the plus Cy, that is the Y is the income. So let us see these factors once again with the above equation. The equation is called the consumption function. This function is considered as consumption function. Here the C is the consumption expenditure by household. Like for example, we went to purchase the household grocery. That household grocery, whatever expenditure we done, it is known as consumption expenditure. This consists of two components: autonomous consumption and induced consumption. Induced consumption means C into Y. As per the income, we will be doing the consumption. Autonomous consumption is denoted by C bar and shows the consumption which is independent of income. Independent of income, why we are saying? Because here the consumption is done irrespective of the income. Here the income is zero, but still the consumption is done by the people as per their wants, as per their need. So that is known as components of consumption. Cy shows the dependence of consumption on income. So here the Cy, which is we said multiply, here consumption is according to income. So according to consumption function, what we want to explain to you, it is whole consumption expenditure, aggregate consumption expenditure when we are learning in the through the consumption function. One is the autonomous consumption. Autonomous consumption where the income is zero, but still consumption is done, plus the Cy, that is consumption done according to the income. If we will do all the consumption together plus, then it is considered as consumption expenditure. Induced consumption rises by, so Cy shows the dependence of consumption on income. When income rises by ₹1, example, induced consumption rises by MPC, that is marginal propensity to consume. Propensity to consume, we will be seeing how much is the capacity of a person to consume any type of goods when the income increases or decreases. That is C, or the marginal propensity to consume. It may be explained as a rate of exchange of consumption as income changes. So the formula of MPC equals to, which is derived as small c in that function. Y, C into Y we are doing, where the C is MPC. Marginal propensity to consume. As income increases, what is the consumption level, how the consumption rate increases. So now let us look the formula. Marginal propensity to consumption, MPC, equals to change in C upon change in Y equals to C. This delta sign is considered as change. And what change we are considering there? That the change in consumption upon change in income. Definitely the change in income will bring a change in the consumption level of the person. So that if we will divide, we will get MPC, that is marginal propensity to consumption. Now let us look at the value that MPC can take. When income changes, change in consumption, change in C can never exceed the change in income. That is change in Y. Maximum value which C can take is 1. Definitely, according to consumption level, we cannot change our income. According to income level changes, only our consumption level changes. On the other hand, consumer may choose not to change consumption even when income has changed. In this case, MPC equals to 0. Here some conditions are there. See here student, you have to remember these are the conditions of MPC. When the maximum value which C can take is 1. On the other hand, consumer may choose not to change consumption even when income is as changed. Sometimes it happens when the income changes also, people don't want to change the consumption levels. That case MPC will be 0. So here when the change in income will not bring any change in the consumption, it will be 0. Generally MPC lies between 0 and 1. This also you have to remember, generally MPC must lie between the 0 and 1. This is the actual way that we can find that MPC calculation has been done correct. So MPC lies between 0 and 1 inclusive of both values. This means that as income increases, either the consumer does not increase consumption at all, MPC equals to 0, or use entire changes in income on consumption, MPC equals to 1. When the income changes and according to income the consumption increases, then MPC equals to 1, or use part of the change in income for changing consumption, then MPC is less than 1. Imagine a country, which has a consumption function described by C equals to 100 plus 0.8y. This is a consumption expenditure. This is an equation. Here we are taking 100 as autonomous consumption plus MPC we are calculating as 0.8 and y has the income. This indicates that even when Imagina does not have any income, its citizens will still consume rupees 100. Definitely when income is 0, still I said consumption is done, so that consumption we have taken as 100 worth of goods. Imagina's autonomous consumption is 100. Its marginal propensity to consume is 0.8. This means that if income goes up by rupees 100 in Imagina, consumption will go up by rupees 80. How we are calculating? If we will solve the equation, we will get it as 80. Let us also look at another dimension of this saving. Saving is that part of income that is not consumed. In other words, saving equals to y minus c. Definitely, this line is correct. Every person who is earning the income, they will save a part of that income as savings, so that in future any type of risk happen or any uncertainty, or future they want to do any investment, for all this purpose they must have some money, and for that they will do the savings. So this savings formula is saving equals to y minus c. Definitely saving equals to a y income minus consumption. Whatever expenditure we have did, if we will deduct from our income, whatever money is left, it is considered as savings. We define the marginal propensity to save as the rate of change in savings as income increases. MPS equals to change in savings upon change in y equals to S. Since S equals to y minus c, the equation will be related as consumption. This C we had already learned in the equation, where we have learned the C function equals to, here we